I also want to say one of the things that we need to do is that we must address the ending of the dependence of Africa. Africa is an extremely rich continent with a majority of poor people. Largely, the reason is we do not control our own resources. This inadequacy was clearly illustrated when we were confronted with the COVID-19 pandemic. We discovered in that crisis that the world is extremely selfish and that where the rich have a solution, they will utilize the solution for themselves first and will think about us at the end. And so in response to the situation we faced, we decided as South Africa that South Africa and the continent needed to build their own capability of vaccine production. And we had to ensure that whenever we need them, vaccines would be readily available on our continent. We worked through the World Trade Organization to temporarily suspend intellectual property rights so that we could have access to the patent and all the intellectual property associated with the then established COVID-19 vaccines and other technologies related to vaccine production. Because what was happening was the IP was there, it was patented, we could not have access to it, and we said we want a temporary easing of the regulations so that we could enjoy access. A further area in which I believe we can reduce our dependence as Africa is through implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, a very vital agreement and a flagship program of Agenda 2063 of the African Union. Currently, trade within our continent or intra-African trade is at around 16%. And we want to increase our share of world trade as Africa, which at the moment, in terms of products we send out, stands at around 3% of global export output. Totally inadequate figures. And we need to change this. In order to do so, we must achieve economic integration, we must achieve industrialization on the continent, we must secure infrastructure development to ensure that the logistics are in place to secure our ability to trade more effectively. We've got to increase productive capacity on the continent, have stronger regional value chains, manufacture more effectively quality products, and create economies of scale. So the work we've done of South Africa's automotive sector, also utilizing Lesotho for part of the components for the cars produced in South Africa, builds a very positive value chain that we need to really draw on for increasing Africa's participation in the world automotive sector. So I'm really thrilled that South Africa has taken the AFCFTA very seriously and that we commenced trading in January last year, and that the majority of African states have now ratified the free trade agreement, which will vastly change Africa's landscape. Once implemented fully, the free trade area will connect 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of around 3.3 billion US dollars. And all of us as entrepreneurs can benefit from that opportunity. As Africa, we have 650 million consumers today, and we will have a significant African middle class by 2030. So we really believe the AFCFTA has come at the right time, that this is Africa's time, and that the youth must take up all these opportunities and make good on them. So I say to young people that our international relations have been directed at enhancing diplomacy between South Africa and the rest of the African continent, but also strengthens our collaboration and development partnerships with countries of the North. As South Africa, we are not anyone's enemy. I always tell my foreign minister colleagues, we don't seek to make enemies of anyone. What we seek to create are opportunities for our country, our people, and for the continent. And where we see wrong, we will take a moral stand. So on the question of Palestine, we are clear. It is immoral what is happening to the Palestinian people. We will also take a stand on what is happening in Sudan, on what is happening in the Sahel, and several other African countries. South Africa must play a role equitably everywhere to ensure peace and development and to utilize our achievement of democracy to support the achievement of democracy and development in all parts of the world. So for us, when we talk international relations, we say a better South Africa, a better Africa, a better world. This is our commitment in international relations. Thank you very much.
We need to stop being dependent, that Africa now we need to start create and fulfill our own thing within the continent of Africa without taking any help abroad the continent. And Naled Pandor speak a lot of things that Africa we need to do in order to achieve the agendas that we're planning for. We know Africa, we have this Agenda 2063 and this Africa Continental Free Trade Area and many agendas. And we see yesterday some of African leaders sat in Nairobi in this leaders summit. So there's so many agendas in Africa, but one thing that Africa we fail, I think, on my view, is the unity. Africa, we have each and everything, but what we lack is unity. That's why Naled Pandor said, Africa, we don't have the access to control our resources. This word I didn't first head to her, but I also head to the First Lady of Sierra Leone when he said that Africa, we don't have the control of our resources. This is true. And one day I listened to the speech from Joshua Maponga said, once you black men, you carry gold without any document, that will be another case and you speak in another language. So Africa, we have each and everything in our continent, in our soil. What we need now is to have the control of this. And we can't have the control of this if we can't select the leaders who understand the system. What's going on in Sahel region there? These three African brothers, they understand the system. That's why they banned all exploitation of raw materials. So this we not want to see in the whole continent of Africa, where our leaders understand the system and change it for the benefits of African first. And you heard Naled Pandor say that what they did, they take their priority first when it comes to the health sectors. She spoke about vaccines, that Africa, we need to create our own vaccines. If we remember on that year of COVID, Madagascar create their own vaccine, but these Westerners, they advise the president of Madagascar to put a poison in that vaccine in order to make that look as fake medicine. So you see how these people coming in different ways to make the Africa be poor day by day. So what Africa we need now is to select the leaders who understand the system, but let us have this step by firstly uniting the continent of Africa. So brothers and sisters, I don't have too much words to speak on this. I wish you also have something to say on this video. Please light it on the comment section so that we can share the ideas together. Thanks for watching and welcome again to the next episode.